had nothing. I had nothing lined up. I just crash landed and had to kickstart a life.
So
So,
you were in the process of leaving, like just kind of like basically running, it sounds like.
yeah,
What made
yeah.
you choose Denver?
So my family lived at the time, they lived probably like 2 hours outside of Denver, I think. The statistics also. So Denver has incredible resources for victims of domestic violence. They have things
And you
like,
knew this before. This is one of the
yeah,
part of your
I did some
selection,
Googling. Yep.
which goes to show your level of research and to do your homework.
Yeah, it was part of my exit plan. I had to make sure that wherever we were landing was going to not make me go back to Oregon.
Somebody tell you that in the whole like tradition of helping others? Like, did somebody?
No.
No, it was all you. You had to find that out.
Yeah, I had to do all the research. They talk about things like that and they're like, "Oh, you can get a pro bono attorney and all that stuff." To date, I've never seen or heard of one. They
That's
have
another
links,
interesting
but
thing to think about if you're escaping, like where you're going to escape.
when I was leaving Oregon, it was like Texas is way too red. Just looking at the state and like how their sort of federal resources, I guess you could say, seemed structured to me. It didn't seem like, Denver just seemed like a better alternative.
Yeah, I could see that. I
Yeah.
never thought about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Got to know
excuse me.
your atmosphere. I've just being affiliated with the agencies. So like I'm affiliated with Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence, and then I'm
Okay.
also somewhat affiliated with One Mom's Battle.
With
Um
what? One.
One Mom's Battle. But just being affiliated with them, I do hear, a lot of the social media I'm supposed to be responding to on a weekly basis for some of these
Mhm.
pages. And I get stories from women who, let's say that they needed for medical reasons, they were looking for, a super early um I don't know how to censor this for YouTube yet, but um was having like a miscarriage and
Okay.
couldn't, and but
You could
so
say miscarriage. You could say
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. So I didn't know what was like because the political climate these days.
No,
Because
no, of
it is a spontaneous abortion, which is always what I try to call them because that by definition is what they're called. But
course.
so she gets married and does all this stuff in like Connecticut or something, right? And then she moves with her husband to Texas. They're pregnant, they're expecting. She couldn't get care. And she was
Mm.
telling one of the responders on this Facebook page that I'm affiliated with about how she could not get care and she almost died.
Yeah,
Um,
that's something. It's like, okay, you have your opinions as a state on abortion, but what's happened is that if physicians feel like for the sake of the mother they need to make a medical decision, but they're not sure. And that's the problem. There's no
yes.
legal definitions anymore. They're not sure if that can be considered murder and they
Yeah.
can lose their license and have criminal charges. They're not going to do it. And it's kind of crazy to me that you could be pregnant and go to the emergency department and just not be seen. I've been saying like the governors of these states, like, okay, that's your that's your take on abortion. That's fine. But you have
Yeah.
to take care of this maternity issue. You have to make it so women who are pregnant can go to an OBGYN and get treated. Like you got, you got to put something on the books that protects the doctors and because if
Did
they
you
don't feel protected, they're not going to help the patients.